The Montagnard Dega are the indigenous populations of the Central Highlands, and during the Vietnam War they sided with the Americans and with the CIA. So they were persona non grata after the fall of Saigon, after the communists took over. And they finally made their way to, I believe, through Cambodia and into Thailand, and then came here in about 1986. And so since 1986, there have been waves of Montagnards coming. And when they first came here, they were able to get jobs in our furniture and textile industries, which were thriving at the time. I bumped into a Montagnard as a student at Wake Tech Community College, and he told me who he was, and I said, I've never heard of those people. And I was very shocked because I thought I knew all of the different indigenous peoples around the world. I'd never heard of Montagnard people, and so I was finding out little by little what their role was in the war and helping Americans. And that's why Americans really wanted to make sure that they could come to our country and live in peace. I think that the backstrap weaving makes a really interesting connection to the history of Greensboro. We're a city of textiles. Backstrap weaving is something that all Montagnard women in Vietnam needed to do to make the clothing for their families, because they didn't buy their clothing. They started from the ground up with growing the cotton, spinning it, dyeing it, and then the weaving itself was a process that they did during when the agricultural season was finished. So it was very, very important in their culture. The significance of the backstrap weaving in the culture is that it is women's work, and Ju had to learn this process when she was very young, probably around 15, I think is when she started. And the weaving actually begins with the warping, and the warping has to do with getting the threads on so that they're going around the pole in the right configuration and in the right order and with the right colors. When it comes off the warping board and goes on to the loom, she has got to keep track of all of those threads, and it's not unusual for her to pull on a thread and say, oh, not good, and she'll go up and she'll retie it to get the tension right. You need patience. And these ladies have the patience. I think what people can learn when learning about the Montagnards is that you don't need an awful lot of technology to make things. It certainly makes things easier, but watching somebody weave on a loom and watching them warp and so forth, it's not that difficult to understand how it works when you watch it happen. Yes, they are concerned that it is dying. The concerns that the women have passed on to me about the nature of nobody picking up the weaving and it dying is very important to them. I think that's why Tomas and Ju have befriended me and did befriend me so many years ago, is because I was the only one that showed interest in wanting to learn this. It's important for them to continue the tradition of weaving because it's what they know. If they don't do it, they feel like they're not a person anymore.